This video tutorial overviews general regulations for the labs here at WPI. This will provide you a safe and healthy laboratory experience. Now, let's review some general regulations for procedures in the lab. Whenever you attend lab, dress appropriately. Shorts, skirts, or open-toed shoes are not permitted to be worn by anyone in the lab. High heels may make fire escape difficult, and also may be dangerous to others. This may mean planning your day ahead of time to cater to the necessary apparel of the lab. Although tempting, coming to lab dressed inappropriately may result in wearing of the stylish and attractive laboratory slacks and shoe covers, so it's best to just follow the dress code. When in the lab, be sure to tie back long hair to prevent it from accidentally catching fire. Remove fuzzy sweaters, roll up long sleeves, and avoid wearing bulky clothing, as these all are potential fire hazards and can soak up spilled chemicals as well. Wear eye protection at all times. All students are required to purchase safety goggles and wear them whenever working with any chemicals, organisms, or specimens that are not designed for human consumption. When in doubt, it is best to assume that you should always be wearing your safety goggles. Always come to lab prepared. Read the lab protocol carefully before lab, and be aware ahead of time of any hazards and safety precautions that need to be taken. Also, pay close attention to any diagrams provided. If at any time you feel uncertain or have any doubts, do not hesitate to ask someone for help. We would rather you ask than burn down, blow up, or completely destroy the lab. Smoking is not permitted in the lab, or any building on campus. Eating and drinking is also an unacceptable lab procedure. If for any reason you do need to eat or get a drink, please take a short break and do so out of the lab. Leaving trash behind is not only bad lab procedure, but it makes more work for the lab professor, TA, or next lab group. Make sure to dispose of trash and clean all glassware left in the sink. When you arrive and when you leave, make sure to wipe down your lab bench with 70% ethanol. Remember, a clean lab is a happy lab. In Section 2, we will now review laboratory hazards and safety procedures. Many chemicals are used in the lab, some which are toxic, flammable, corrosive, or carcinogenic. It is advised that you are familiar with the material safety sheets for the chemicals that you will be using. And remember, always wear plastic gloves when handling the hazardous materials. Accidents happen sometimes, and that's okay. An acid or base spill can be easily neutralized with baking soda. Any volatile chemical should be assumed flammable, and caution is advised when attempting to clean around an open flame. It is probably best to notify your instructor before attempting to clean the spill yourself. Many bacteria and microbes can cause infection or disease. Therefore, all bacteria and microbes in the lab are assumed to be infectious. Decontamination with 70% ethanol or Clorox is usually sufficient. Remember, biohazard waste requires special disposal and should not just be thrown in the trash. Instead, it should be disposed of in the proper container as instructed. When working with an open flame or flammable chemicals, the risk of fire is very real. If a fire too big to handle begins in the lab, notify people around you and prepare to evacuate. Remember, fire can spread very fast, so getting yourself and others out of the lab should be your first priority. Frequent pipetting in any lab can result in the formation of aerosols, which may be dangerous to breathe in. This can best be avoided by pipetting gently and by tightly securing containers before centrifuging. There are many types of equipment used within the lab, all which pose their own hazards to scientists. Respect the equipment and observe all the posted warnings and instructions from your instructor, and you will have a safe and successful lab experience. Glass is often used in lab for its resistance to corrosion and resilience to temperature, but glass can break and suddenly become a hazard. Glass can also be heated to very high temperatures and often causes accidental burns. Be careful when working with glass and dispose of it in the glass and sharps container when done. Broken glass should be disposed of in the same manner. Various radioactive chemicals are used in biology, especially during DNA analysis. However, there are no radioactive materials used in this lab, so there will be no need for Geiger counter. In case of an emergency, leave the room if you have to and call campus police at extension 5555. to get someone in the lab as soon as possible to handle the situation. If a landline is not accessible because of the emergency, or if you had to evacuate the building, call 911 from your cell phone or the nearest phone. Be familiar with the nearest emergency exits and know evacuation routes. This is not only for your safety, but the safety of others in case an emergency should arise. Plus, this could always be on an exam. Thanks for listening, and have a safe and healthy lab experience.